See, we were talking about data types, in Python. I think we started the data types. For example, we discussed uh,
Like the loops, like the if, else, and while.
so let's start with, data types. See, every language has got certain data types. For example, you have this value. Now, it is very easy to know which type of data this is. For example, if you print the type value, you'll get the output that this value belongs to the class of integer, right? When I run this, and of course I can anytime print the value of x, right, like this. But what we are interested in this type, so I will open the terminal and I will run this data types, and it will tell me that there is nothing called x, so I have to say the value is, you see, it belongs to a class of integer. My point is there are multiple types of data in Python. I will show you float, decimal, string, boolean, none type. Later you will see list type of data, tuple type of data, dictionary, range, set. These are certain types of data. So this type function will become very handy there. For example, the moment you say 10.0, and if you print the type, this time it will say it belongs to a type of float, a class of float. And if you print the value, it will still say 10.0, right? It belongs to a class of float. Similarly, if you say, now it gives you a class of string, and it will give you the value, right? So, this will become very useful. This will become very helpful to understand which type of data you're working with, right? This type function becomes very helpful that ways. So if the same value,
Your voice is cutting off. It's going in and off.
somewhere, I am also getting the disturbance. So just give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So does this sound any better? Does it sound any better, Jack?
It's okay now. Let's see.
Okay, so here now we saw that we have a Boolean type also. Similarly, when we don't know the data, there is a none type. You don't get exception. You just get this is a none type. This is a bool type, right? So when you run this, you get none type of data. right? So these are fundamental data types in Python. Apart from that, I will tell you about other data types also, in detail in the coming sessions. But these are fundamental type: a class of integer, a class of float, a class of string, a class of boolean, and a class of none type, right? So this one should be aware of what type of data you are dealing with. Now, when I am aware of the type of data, then it becomes easy for me to call functions. So I created a class called call functions based on the type of data, right? So first I got familiar with the type of data. Then if I say I have a string value like 5, now I can call functions on this string value because I know this is string. Again, I can print the type of value. It will tell me that you have a class of string, so you can call that functions, right? It is a class of string, right? So, and if I have a multi-line string also, see, I can put single quote, I can put double quote, output will be the same, and I can put triple quote also, right? I can do like this also, output will be the same. But if I have multi-line data, right, like this is a multi-line data. Now multi-line data in Python can only be accommodated in the triple quote. So using f string type, if you print value, multi-line data can only be accommodated in triple quote, right? This triple quote could be single quote, or this could be like this also, right? Whatever way you want, you can do that. And of course, it belongs to a class of string, right? So it becomes easy. For example, right now if I tell you that I have a value, for example, I have a value whose data is, let's say, 4, and if I would like to call the function on value, for example, if I say on value call the capitalize function, now this capitalize function will make it in the uppercase, right? So if I clear the console and if I run this, it will make the first letter uppercase, right? If I call upper, it will make all letters uppercase. My point to you is, once you know about that type, it becomes easy for you which functions will work on that type of data. Similarly, if one letter is, let's say, capital, then you can call the lower function and this will print everything in the lowercase, right? We will talk about these functions also in detail. What I'm trying to tell is that on the basis of the data, we decide what next to do in Python, right? For example, if I have multiple data with me, I have got series of data that I am dealing with. For example, I have got this 7 first place marker, second place marker. On that I call the format function and I give 8 and 9. So 8 and 9 will go in these two place marker. That also I can do. So once I print this, it prints like this. If I want to reverse, like I would like to print 9 first and 8 later, I can just put the positional argument here, 1 and 0. It will print 9 first and 8 later because 0 is less than 1. I put lesser number here and higher number here, index, position. And I am able to do that because I know the type of data that I am dealing with, right? that is important, that we have figured out the type. So I've just told you few functions. In the later classes I'll tell you more functions with string, right? But similar to that, you know, if let's say you want to give some spaces,
Can
for
you explain this one? The 1 and the 0 is just looking at the index.
yeah, so 1 is 9, 0 is 8. So if I say 0 here, both 0 if I put, it will give 8 8. If I give 1 later, it will give 1 9. And if I say 1 1, it will give 9 9. Positional argument, basically which position I would like to, which data on which position I would like to keep. So this is an index where we would like to put this data, right?
And then when you didn't put anything there, what would print for line 14?
Yeah, line 14, it was printing by default whatever was coming. So if 18 and 19 are there, it will by default come there. And if I say here that here 80 is there, but I am saying this first number will come later and second number will come first, so the output is 9 and 80. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes you want to give some formatting also. For example, you have these two numbers. You could have also done like this. You could have said A is 80 and B is 9. Right? And here you could have said A is this and B is this. And here you could have said A is this and B is this. Output will be same. Right? So here this is, right, A is 80, B is 9. So this is not f string type, so I have to mention out the position. Anyhow, it will give me 80 and 9 like this. Or if I would like to do the opposite, I can give the indexes like this, right? But sometimes I would like to give some, let's say this A, you know, and I am saying here B will print and here A will print. So I'm saying in B, I would like to give 4 zeros on the right hand side. Right. Similarly here, I would like to give 3 zeros on the left hand side. I gave the number here basically 80. So basically, the length is 3 only. If I would like to increase the number of zeros, I can increase the length like this. Right. So basically here I gave what I want to be prefixed or suffixed. So basically what I mean is you can format like this. You can concatenate, append like this in the data directly. Right? What I am doing here, I am just putting leading zeros or some zeros here. Okay. And this I am able to do because I know the type of data that I am dealing with. Similarly, you can also see, when you have the integer type of data, right? For example,
Sorry, for this one, the leading zeros are with the greater sign or less sign?
no, greater less means on the right hand side or on the left hand side. Here zeros are coming on the right hand side, here zeros are coming on the left hand side. Because this is less than, this is greater than. Greater than means this thing will come on the right hand side, less than means this thing will come on the left hand side. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's say you have integer data. This is your integer data. You can time confirm yourself what type of data you are dealing with. So you will get the clarity that I am dealing with the integer type of data. Like this, I got the clarity. Fine. So once I got the clarity, I could call certain functions, or what I could have done, I could have done the mathematical calculation here also. 18 threes are 54. So if I would like to print the output that the value is, it will print me the output also, that I am directly doing multiplication, addition, subtraction, or addition, multiplication on the integer, right? And the moment I make some decimals here, for example, if I put multiply 18 by into 3.14, so now the type of data will become float, so the type will change, and based on that I have to understand which function shall I call. So it all depends on the type of data, right? For example, in integer you have got something called as integer divide or float divide, like this, right? So if I say 19 here, because 3 6 are 18, when you divide 19 by 3, you get quotient as 6, and you get a remainder as 1. So integer divide or float divide will give you the quotient, which is 6, right? It will give you the quotient. So when I run this, it says the integer divide or float divide, it gives me the quotient. Similarly, if I do this again with the modulo operator or percentage sign, this is to get the remainder, modulo operator. Now when I print this, it will tell me remainder is 1, right? Remainder is 1, but quotient was 6. Okay,
But the 6 is integer, no?
6 is integer, yes. Yeah, 6 is integer only. There is no decimal here. 6 is an integer, and if I print the value here, first value will come as 6, and then value will come as 1. Modulo remainder, integer divide or float divide, integer divide or float divide gives me the quotient. These are some mathematical, because the type of data we are dealing with. But there is a catch. When you deal with small cents, right, very small number of data, for that there is a decimal library which has got a decimal API. For example, if I say value is equal to 0.1 cent plus 0.1 cent plus 0.1 cent minus 3 cent, you might think that the output will come out to be 0, but no, the output will not come to be 0. The output came that there is decimal, there are 17 places to the decimal on the right hand side. So with the small cents, small data, this direct thing does not work. For that we use the library, for that we use the module. For example, what I could have said, from decimal library import all class files, or import only the decimal class. For all class file I could have given asterisk, for only decimal class I could have given like this. So here D small is a module decimal, and D capital is a class or a library. So with small values, what we do, we use this class and we give this data like this, right? We give this data either like this or simply, and we give the second data like this, Now we do this a plus a plus a minus b. Now when I check the value, it gives me the value as py integer type of data. It give me the value as 0, and I am dealing with the type this class, this library class. So with small cent, small currency, we deal with the we use the library for that if we don't get the desired output. And we are doing this because we know the type of data we are dealing with. I will tell you more functions that you can directly call on integer, right? Similarly, if you are dealing with a boolean type of data, now you know.
Mr. Cars,
Yeah,
for here, you said from decimal you can import either all the libraries or just one. How do you know what are the libraries in under decimal? Is there a way to find that out?
yeah. So under decimal library in Python, you see it tells us that this class can be used. So I have to read this. Right here they are using just the decimal class only. If I read this article, if I Google the article, I will come to know that from this library, basically here they are saying import everything, but they are just here they are using get context function also, right, to get the precision value. So you have to Google this, and this is a Python doc, right? So Python has got their own documentation also. So if you see this, they have a doc, and here you can mention, for example, decimal, right? I got the same page. So from here I can read and I can finalize the function that I would like to use. Got it?
But there's no like one pager where it says for this library, these are all the things that are under there kind of thing.
See, yeah. So, yeah, from the Python documentation, you are right that under the library, it is not that straightforward that you can use this and that, right? So we have to traverse, we have to search to get to know the exact thing that we are looking for in the documentation itself. So it is not that straightforward that under decimal library what all classes exist. It is linked with, it is like this with every library. We have to look out for a particular thing that we want to use. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so similar to that, I will use boolean a lot for logical expressions, right? With the if statement, with the while, with the for, boolean is used a lot. So, but if I simply say 10 greater than 5, the output is true. So if I print the type of X, it will tell me it is a bool type. And if I print the output, right, place marker, if I call format, and if I give X, and if I go to terminal again, clear the console, run this boolean type, it tells me the output is true because 10 is greater than 5. And if I would have said 10 less than 5, it would have given me false, that 10 is not less than 5, 10 is greater than 5. So with this greater than small, less small, the greater than thing also gives me a boolean data. And of course, if I give true here, it will tell me it is a boolean data. Right? It tells me that it is a boolean data. Right? Simply true. So either 10 greater than 5 or simple true or simple false, they are all boolean type of data. Right? Similar to that, you have none type when you don't know the data. So you can say right now I don't know. Using none type, when you run this, the output will be none. Right now you don't know, but the moment you know, the type will change. The moment you say I know the data, the type will change. What I want to tell you is that these things exist. Now the best part is, if I have a none type, and if I just say if x, print none, empty and false will never work. Right now else will work, because none means false, empty means false, and 0 also means false. So when I run this, it says else block. Similarly, if I say empty, it again says else block. Similarly, if I say 0, it again says else block. And now if I say any value apart from 0, it will run this. Right? It prints me this. So if you print none, or you print 0, or you have no data, that means this if condition will always fail with this data. And if is failing, the else block will run. Right? If I have any data apart from, in my double quotes, if let's say I have got any data A, always if statement will work. See, my point is, with if else, if you have empty, none or 0, if condition will always fail. Right?
Yeah.
So these are some relevance to the type of data that we have to deal with. First, you should know via type function which type of data you want to deal with: integer type, float type, bool type, none type, right? And of course string type of data. And I was telling you the sequence type, for example list, tuple, and of course dictionary. These are sequence where you deal with sequence of values. So I created a class. This is just the introduction to sequence type of data. Let's say you have this 1 2 3 4 5. List is represented by a square bracket, and it means mutable, which means its original value can be modified. I'll tell you about list in detail, but the best part is, if I print the type of X, it will tell me that you have a class of list now. And if you would like to go in each and every element of X, you can say give me the value followed by this separator. Right? If you clear the console and run this sequence type, you see the class of list with these 5 values which I printed using basic for loop. And I said this is a mutable sequence type, meaning its data, for example, at third index 0, 1, 2, 3, I would like to replace it with 40. Right? So when you run this, you have replaced the value at third index to 40. Means you are modifying the original data. So when you have to modify the original data, you will always use list. And for loop is used for sequencing, is used for going through each and every item in the list. Right? This is a sequence type. Okay, this is a sequence type. Whereas there is another sequence type called tuple, which is represented by round bracket. When you say round bracket, let's say you have got this. Let's say you have got this data. Now this is tuple, and this is immutable. Immutable means its original value cannot be modified. Its original value cannot be modified. Right? But first let me print each and every value in this. If I print all values followed by a separator, it will print all the values. In between, let me print one empty line also. So you see all the values of tuples are printed. But if I try to modify the value present at second index to not be 2, instead 20, I will get an error message here. Meaning this tuple has not got the tuple object does not support the item assignment. This means I cannot modify this data. Right? So based on that requirement understanding, whether I can modify or whether I can't modify, we decide a list or a tuple. Similarly, on the type of data, we decide the function. Here we decide whether we want to modify or we don't want the original content to be modified. We decide the sequence type. Alright. Similarly, there is a predefined function in Python called as range function. For example, you have like this range 10. Now it will give you the value from 0 to 9. A range is being given. So for each and every value, you would like to print the values, right? Followed by the separator or delimiter. You will get, and in between let me print one empty line also. So when I run this, first let me correct my mistake which I did here, and I run this. It prints me from 0 to 9. It gives me a series of value. Range is a predefined function in Python which gives me the series of values. Right? Here I have given the stop value, the end value. Similarly, if I have given the start value also, for example, if I say it starts from 5 and it ends at 9, so I give the start value, it gives me 5 to 9. If I say I am giving you the start value, stop value and the step value, I need the every second value. It gives me 5, 7, 9. So it accepts 3 arguments: start, where shall I stop, and stop is non-inclusive, and the last one is step, how shall I jump, right? How shall I jump? Now you can, this is also immutable. If you try to modify the second value, instead of 9 to 90, you get the same error that range object just does not support item assignment. For this, you have to convert the range to list using this constructor. This is how we can convert objects. Now you can modify the value at the last index from 9 to 90. Start, stop, step are modified after converting the range to list.
So is range tuple then?
Range is like tuple. Yeah. Range and tuple both are immutable, meaning their original data can never be modified. They have their own purpose. It gives us the series of values, right? And it is the unmodifiable data set present inside the tuple. Fine. Similar to that, you have got one more sequence type, which is called dictionary, like map. Basically, it gives you the key value pair combination. For example, this is key and this is value. For example, this is key and this is value. For example, this is key and this is value. It is represented by curly braces. Tuple is represented by a round bracket or parenthesis. List is represented by square bracket or box bracket. This is how dictionary is represented by key value pair. So I have got key value in value dot items. I can print using f string type key and the value, right? When I run this, it gives me those three key value pair combination. In between, I can print one empty line. So I have got key value pair combination. So from database, from some source as part of JSON, we have key value pair property, basically element type. So this is how we access, and if you print the type of data that you are dealing with, it will give you the class of dictionary. Here, if you print the type of data that you are dealing with, it will give you the class of tuple. So first it will give you the class of list, right? So if I run this, class of dictionary, class of tuple, and class of list, right? So my point is, looking at the way we decide which way to go, which data will be best for us. And of course, dictionary is also dictionary is also mutable like list. You can modify. For example, here you are saying the value, this key, I would like to modify the value to 35. You can modify the value like this. This is like modifying the original data. So this is also mutable like list. This is just the overview of sequence type. Overview of list, overview of tuple, overview of range, and overview of dictionary. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. After that comes, how you can compare values, how you can compare objects, right? So for that you have got id function in Python. For example, I can have dictionary, tuple, or whatever we are dealing with. So let's say I have tuple value, is this. First is integer, then I have got float, then I have got string, then I have got boolean, then I have got list. List has got 3 numbers. But if I print the type of value, it will tell me that the type is tuple only. The name of a class is compare. Yeah, sorry, one round bracket was missing. Class is tuple only. And if I say the value at 0th index, which is 1, so that is integer. If I say value at first index, which is float, it will say float. So now my point is, you can get to know the memory address of the value at first index using id function. This will give you the memory address, right? When you run this now, this is the memory address. Now the memory address for all these 5 will be different because the data is different. The magic is, here the data is different, so the memory address is different. But if I have got similar tuple with value 2, right? If I check the memory address of 0th index, because the data is same, you will see the memory address is also same. Based on the data, the memory address is assigned in Python. Now the data is same, we can get to know from both of them. Their indexes, the data is same, that I can get to know via id function, right? If the data becomes different, then the memory address will be different. And I can also check that if the value at 0th index, using identity operator, if that is equivalent to this, it will print me both values are same, else it will print me no, they are different, right? But they say
What does the value is what is the keyword is to?
is a identity operator, which helps us compare for the comparison purposes.
So this is for string or?
For anything, for example, the value at second index, it is a string. For example, if I say print me the value at second index, type in both value 2, it will print me string only, right? Now if I check the memory address, because the data is absolutely same, it will give us the same memory address, right? It gave me same memory address. And if by any chance I modify the data, then memory address will also change. So if the data is same, it becomes very easy for us to do the comparison using identity operator, is not. Here I could have said that the value at 0th index is not the value at the first index. So it will say yes, they are different, because they are here, actually this is true, value is not. So if I would have said it is equivalent to, then only it will go to the else block. Otherwise, if I'm saying no, it is not, then this if condition is actually coming as true, right? So this
So you
id
can't
yeah,
use equal to do comparison here.
yeah, like you have in Java double equal to an equals function, similar to that you have is operator for the comparison purpose. Here is identity operator, right? right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so if sometimes we make one mistake. What is that mistake? I know the type of value is tuple. Sometimes we try to do this kind of coding also. This is wrong. Here it will not work. Right? If I run this, it says, else block. It actually ran the else block because this is not the correct way to do the comparison. The type of value is tuple only. So this is not the correct way. So what is the correct way then? Correct way is using a function called isInstance. Here you are saying the value is actually like this. Now you will see this if condition will work. IsInstance value and tuple cannot be in double quotes, sorry. So it says if condition works. I should have written down if condition works. Here I should have written down else condition works. Right? So this is how objects are verified against their type. This is how objects are verified against their type. Right? Using isInstance function. So we have seen multiple things. For example, id function gives us the memory address, and ultimately id function helps us do the comparison, equality comparison, right? Type function helps us know the data type we are dealing with, class of integer, class of tuple, or class of list, or class of float. IsInstance actually helps us do the comparison. Is value a tuple? If that is the case, then I can call certain tuple related functions, right? I can call that functions. Alright, so I have to be comfortable with these functions basically.
So for the memory address, for each it's gonna be different. Like, can you go over that one again?
If the data is same in the data structure or sequence type, right, memory address will be same. Memory address is shared by same data. Here everything depends on the data. Like in Java you have static keyword, you have final keyword, you have multiple keywords which defines what data the object is carrying. Here based on the data the memory address is decided. Here there is no static or non-static, or final or non-final. Here everything is just data based. If data is same, memory address is same. Memory address is same means memory address is shared. Memory address is shared means memory address is shared means memory address is shared means they are actually same data is kept in the same space in the memory, right?
Cutting off.
Right.
Hey, sorry, I missed the last bit. You got cut off.
The last statement got cut off. So what I was saying, if the data is same, then that data is kept at a same memory address for that data structure or sequence type, right? I will take more examples for id functions in the coming sessions also, right?
Okay.
Okay, so these are
So what you're saying is that even though, like in the example that you gave, value 1 is equal to a tuple and value 2 is equal to, let's say, a tuple, um, if both value 1 and value 2 have the same, so in this case, value 1 has ABC at index 2 and value 2 has ABC at index 2, because it's the same data in both those variables, it's still going to be same memory. That's what you're saying?
Yeah,
Oh, so it doesn't matter if it's a different variable that's getting stored in.
right. And that's the reason this id function is working in our favor for the comparison purposes, right? Only because our first statement is like that they share the same memory address.
So in the first two variables, then all of them is going to be the same, right? Because all of the data is the same for at each index. It's the same.
Yeah, but if I modify, if I change, the entire story will be different, right? Now if you see, you know, now uh, see, this data does not is not the same now. So
Yeah.
here, you know, is not operator is working actually. If I say, right, here now if you check value at second index is equivalent to, for example, if I say if value at second index is same as the value 2 at second index, it will print that, you know if condition works, or yes, they are same. Otherwise, it will print, else condition works, or they are not same. Right now we know that the data is not same, so else condition works. Even if I check the id value, their memory address will also not be same, right? Either ways it is not going to work, right? So you are right, it depends on the data, right? If the data is same, the
So
equality
in
will
this
work.
case, when you changed index 1, 2, and 3, so all of those are going to be different. Only thing that's going to be the same will be index 0 and the last index.
Right.
Is there like a pointer then, like in C++? Like it's getting stored in the same, it's getting stored in one memory, but I guess it's not a pointer. No.
I mean, you can say that, right? We can very well say that, right? It is related, it is linked, or it is same as that of a pointer in C and C++, right? We can very well say
But
that.
it's not.
It is not, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you can practice this. We'll connect tomorrow and we'll take things further forward.
I was wondering, could we maybe do Saturday as Python and Sunday as JavaScript then?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Tomorrow we can start the JavaScript at this time.
Okay,
Alright,
okay, thank you. So
thanks.
10:30 for tomorrow, right?
Sure, sure.
Okay, okay, thank you.